Greg Wood?
Here.
Bill Parkman?
Here.
Donna Morris here. David Hernandez, absent with excuse. Gerald Morris?
Aye.
Dennis Schaffner?
Here.
Justin Wright? He is on his way.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, adopt agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Director Schaffner, seconded by Director Donna Morris. Any discussion?
Make a motion to accept as read. Our minutes. Our last one, the other one's corrected. So I'll say the July 20th. How about that? Need a second?
I will second the minutes. Here we have a motion by Director Donna Morris, seconded by Director Greg Wood. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Well, one abstention because I wasn't here.
Just to kind of let everybody up to date, we changed the order of the meeting this evening to accommodate our 2 speakers. And then next month we'll be going back to the guest community leader reports will be first, so we can get our emergency response personnel out of here if they need to leave. So we do apologize, but we have some important speakers, and I want to give them as much time as we can to give their presentations. So we're going to move on to item 6, guest speaker, and presentation of the Kern County Cannabis Land Use Ordinance by Lorelei.
Thank you so much for having me again and letting me move this around. I have another engagement I have to get to in Eastern Kern. Since I live out here, you're the closest to where I live, so I appreciate you letting me go first. So I have handed out a land use summary sheet that gives you the quick overview of these 2 options that we have placed in the environmental impact report. The environmental impact report is online, but it's a big document, and it's kind of, we wanted to get down to the things that you might be interested in. So this referral was made by the Board of Supervisors last October, before the voters took action in November on Proposition 64, which California-wide was the question of changing the rules on medicinal marijuana and allowing for what they're calling adult use, over 21, of cannabis. We have had a long 15 years. So when the voters of California voted for the Compassionate Care Act 15 years ago, they did not impose a state license. It is a misunderstanding that people have that there's somebody at the state who's giving everybody a license and regulating all of these operations for medicinal cannabis, and that is not true. So for 15 years, local government has had to, and there was no real direction. What the voters voted for was, Compassionate Care Act said that if these 5 people at the front of this table all wanted to use for medical purposes cannabis that had TCB, which is the cannabinol that doesn't get you high, but is supposed to have medicinal effects, they could get together, create a nonprofit collective. One of them with a green thumb could grow some plants, and they could recoup their costs by selling it to other people. That's what the voters voted for. Immediately what happened is people went and opened retail brick and mortar stores. Nothing in that Compassionate Care Act said they could open a store. But then the court said, well, yeah, okay, but they're supposed to be nonprofits, they're not supposed to be making money. but there was nobody really managing that. And so we have lived with, and you're supposed to have your medical card, right? I'm sorry, those 5 people in the collective had to have their medical card. And it was 18 years or older with your medical card. So for 15 years, we've been trying to find the right approach. And we banned it, and the cannabis community got enough signatures and went on the ballot and overturned our ban. And then out of compassion for people who came to the board and said, you know, I really do use this for my back, or I really need it for chemotherapy, the board put Measure G on the ballot, which said that you could go into industrial areas if you were a certain distance from certain things. The cannabis industry people who did not like that sued, and we lost in court because we didn't do an expensive environmental impact report. So we were up, we were down, we spent millions of dollars, literally, of your taxpayer money to put people out of business. We put 67 dispensaries out of business, countywide. And the court ruled in the last decision that there are 22 in Kern County. I want to make sure everybody understands this, because I heard some quotes from people in the community that are actually inaccurate. There are 22 that were declared legal under a 2009 ordinance. Only 7 of them are in Rosamond, and only 6 of them are downtown. One of them is way out at 100th Street, and it's been closed for some time, so it's probably going to lose its right to be legal. The rest of them are illegal. Now, we actually still continue to put them out of business and try. And when we go to the courts, because of this unclarity about the Compassionate Care Act, the courts have been all over the place. So, sequence forward to last October, right before the vote. The board said, you know what? We're going to put up the money and do an environmental impact report, referral to the planning department, because that's where the zoning land use is, and said, Lorelei, give us 2 options. A comprehensive ban that includes a proactive enforcement, and how much money would that cost and what would that look like? Go talk to the sheriff, go talk to the DA, go talk to whoever you're supposed to talk to, and bring that forward. Remembering that at that point they didn't know what the vote was going to be in November. Or tell us what it would take to regulate, come up with some ideas on regulation, not the Wild West, not what Oakland's doing, not what Monterey's doing. Lorelei, look at Kern County. How do we regulate businesses? What are we, what do we do here, and how do we manage things? And what are the fiscal impacts of that? So that's what I did. In November, Kern County voted against it, but the rest of California voted for it. So it is now the law of the land. Personal use is legal. And you can grow 6 plants in your house or outdoors, but the county can put reasonable restrictions on the growing outdoors, not indoors. So I want to go and review this so that everybody's clear. But January 1st, it's not for sale. Adult use is not for sale yet, and people who say it is are incorrect. The state has been clear. It's not, they have to get a license from the state starting January 2nd, 2018. And the board wants to be ready. We need to be ready. They're not going to give our fate over to the state anymore, and they want to be clear. What are the ramifications of going either way? What are the benefits, and what are the downsides? So, there I am, jumped into it, got the EIR out. This is the proposal. 2 options. We do have to go to the Planning Commission at the end of September. Right now we're taking comments on the EIR. I will have a recommendation to the Planning Commission, but ultimately this is the Board of Supervisors' decision. Whatever the Planning Commission recommends, I will make sure that we publish both ordinances. We're not going to close off any possibilities for them to pick either one. Okay? Just for people who are wondering. So let's talk about the ban. We would repeal all of the ordinances that are in place right now for medical marijuana, every single one of them. And we would replace them with a full ban on all commercial activities and facilities for either medicinal or adult use. We would put into our ordinance what is in state law. We would ban it to use it in public. You can't use it in public under Proposition 64, but we would reiterate that. And we would go farther. We would make a referral under either option that they amend the lease with the county fair and not allow marijuana vendors. We would, you can't use it any place, remember, I don't have to do a ban to make this go. Any place you can't smoke cigarettes, you can't smoke marijuana. So you can't smoke it in a bar, you can't smoke it at, 1,000 feet from a school, and you can't smoke it in public. So you can't sit on a cafe, outside one of our establishments and smoke. Whatever ordinance I bring forward. All right, but we're going to reiterate that ban. We are going to ban outside cultivation of personal 6 plants. We have the right to do that. You have to grow it inside if we ban it. And, but remember, we can't legislate, we can't require a permit for growing it inside. We can't require an apartment complex, unless they ban smoking, you can't ban, marijuana. So just for you renters and other people out there. The only exception is affordable housing projects that get federal money. They are already banning tobacco. They would not be allowed to use cannabis in an affordable housing project that gets federal money. So that's just another thought. All right. Then the board would have to create a funded cannabis activity enforcement task force. We have worked with the sheriff and the DA and identified what that would take. And as you can see, it would be 1 supervisor, 5 sheriff's deputies, and a clerical. It would be 2 DAs, a supervisor, and a paralegal. It would be 2 lawyers from county council, along with a clerical. It would be 1 code compliance dedicated to cannabis. It would be a planner someplace in there. And then we would coordinate with public health and everybody else. And the idea would be, it would be proactive. It would not be based on complaints. It would actually be staff to go out and find and shut them down. Okay? And then we would deal with our 22 existing. So the 2 places in Kern County where we have the most are the 7 in Rosamond. It's really 6 downtown and 1 out there, which probably doesn't qualify anymore because it's closed. And Oildale, which is the part of, unincorporated part of Bakersfield. And then we have a few other scattered ones. And so legally, kind of like anybody who, I don't know if you heard about LA trying to shut down billboards many years ago, you have to give people their legal rights, okay? Otherwise, they go to court and then we lose again and we have to spend your money. So it's called amortization. So what we would do is allow the 22 existing that have been determined legal, medical, and they could, if they obtained a state temporary permit for 1 year for medicinal use only, cannot sell adult, they get to stay open for 1 year, and the idea legally behind that is they've invested in something and they have to make plans and they have money, it's a legal thing, then they have to close. And then,
how will you enforce that?
I have a task force, remember?
That you can't fund.
Well, your task
Well,
force
you
doesn't
know
do
what,
anything.
can I finish my presentation before you pass judgment on me? Just let me get through the whole
The
thing and then you can
county's
all...
$41 million short
Okay,
already.
excuse me.
Okay, folks,
Can I get through the presentation,
we'll
please?
have questions as soon as she's done with her presentation.
Really, I mean, there's a role to this. Let me get through the presentation. I know you all have thoughts, but let me get through the whole thing, because there is logic there, right? All right, so and you brought up one of the flaws, I get that. We'll go through that. Now, all the illegal dispensaries have to shut. Now remember that January 2nd, the state's now our partner. They want to close illegal ones too, because they want to become in too. But it's going to take time, right? So, under the fiscal analysis, the first year it would be partially staffed because, the state's not up to speed. The next 2 and 3 years would be enforcement. It would take $1.2 million to $2.7 million to staff that. To have equipment, to have people, to have them full-time, and we would have to look for state and federal money. I have not found that yet, so there's uncertainty as to how to enforce that. Those are the facts. I was asked to bring the facts forward. We're not jumping to conclusions yet. I'm laying out the facts for the public and the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission. So that's, and you can find that actual ordinance at this link online, if you want to read what's in it. All right? That's one option. The second option he asked me to put together is regulated. Now, when you do an environmental impact report on anything, you have to have a number. You can't just do it on, well, we're just going to do something. So we did it based on these numbers. 2 million square feet of indoor cultivation, which would be greenhouses in A-zone property, not inside cities, not inside communities, out in an A-zone piece of property, in greenhouses. And there are lots of rules about that. They have to have ventilation so you can't smell it. They have to have security so that, you know, they can't put a big sign on it. They can't give tours. It's not a tourist attraction. It's not a tasting room. It's not a cannabis winery. It is just growing. And we learned those experiences from going, we looked at Colorado, we looked at Washington State, and we said, wait, we're not looking at, you know, everything. We're looking at what fits. We grow tomatoes, we grow pomegranates, we grow stuff. Okay, where do we do that? We do it out in agricultural areas. There's trucks, there's reasons for doing that, and there's also security. Okay, the second is, I'll come back to outdoor cultivation, which is more problematic. 500,000 square feet of processing and packaging. I want you to know that the city of Lancaster just approved 596,000 square feet at Fox Field for their medical indoor cultivation and processing. Fox Field, right down the street here. All right. Processing and preparation includes taking the cannabis and turning it into a food, turning it into an oil, which is dangerous. That's why we have these things in residential neighborhoods that have blown up. There's chemicals and processes involved. Turning it into salves, turning it into anything. And the trend is not to use the flour, they call it, not to use the actual stuff, but to turn it into an oil and then put it into foods or put it into other things. The state of California has got 3 agencies that are geared up for massive regulation of this. The Food and Drug Agency has all these regulations they're coming out with, and Matt Constantine would be inspecting it. There would be testing, and there's 2 other agencies. All right, and then I did look at 150 acres of outdoor, which is very problematic. And even if we regulated, we probably would not, if I recommended regulation, I would probably not recommend that we include outdoor. It smells, it's high security issues, and the farmers have more issues with outdoor cultivation than they do with greenhouses. I'm working with the Farm Bureau. I've talked to everybody, including you. So outdoor cultivation, you can only get a permit for 1 acre, and so that's why we only looked at 150 acres. All right, there would be 5 independent testing facilities. So the way that the state is setting this up is like liquor. A lot of people don't know. I mean, I didn't. You're a liquor store. You don't go to the liquor guy who makes liquor. You can only go to a distributor who then goes to the supplier of the person who makes the liquor. Why? Because there has to be a tax stamp on it, and it has to be tested for purity to make sure that's what you're getting. That's how the state regulates alcohol, to make sure that there's purity and all of that. So they took that idea and they're mapping it on cannabis. Everything has to be sent. The cultivator can't own a dispensary. So the guy who grows it can't own a dispensary, or gal. That has to be sent to an independent testing lab, and the testing lab can't own anybody. And the independent testing lab is going to test for pesticides, it's going to test for whatever it tests for, you know, THC levels. If it's medicinal, it's not supposed to have THC. At certain levels, it's supposed to have CBD. And so they're going to, they set up an entire testing, and that's through the state. So we said, fine, we'll have 5 of those scattered out through the county. We don't need 100 if we're going to do this. We would have 5. And their job is also to report earnings and sales and how much cannabis is flowing from the cultivation to the dispensaries, because that's how property taxes and sales tax is tracked. The state has separate taxes on all of this. So when you read in the newspaper that they're going to get $1 billion, that's not the county's $1 billion. That's their $1 billion. That's not normal sales tax and property tax. That's a separate tax that was voted in Prop 64. Separate. All right, so that's that part. And then we said 20 distribution and transports. These are the people who then go to the analytical labs and transport it. We don't know how that will work. And then we looked at retail. The retail dispensaries have been our problem. We've closed down a couple of big grows. We had one up in Wolford Heights, and we've had a couple. But our big problem is not at Calaveras County, where they have 1,000 farmers. Our problem is dispensaries. The legal ones perhaps have been better, but all of them have pretty much ignored the laws. So, based on that experience, I came up with, we can only have 40 countywide, and no more than 2 in any unincorporated community. And we'll have maps, and Rosamond is an unincorporated community, so what boundaries? And there'll be conditional use permits between the community could say no. So in some communities, there might not be any. They have to be half a mile from, the state says they have to be 1,000 feet from a school. We're proposing half a mile from a school, half a mile from a youth center, half a mile from a park, and half a mile from a large family daycare. I'm not taking questions yet, but that's a good question, I'm sure.
Pretty sure it is,
Okay?
more like,
And
I have a
so,
couple questions for you too.
that's fine. And so, so that's the idea right now. And so then we looked at what happens to, I think I put it in here. Maybe I didn't put it in here. You know, I probably didn't put the amortization on this list. So under regulate, we have the same situation with the 22. Only now the 22 are allowed to operate for 2 years. They get a temporary license. If they don't get the temporary license, and by the way, the background check is through the state. You can have a felony for drugs like marijuana, but you can't have a felony for methamphetamine or opiates, and you can't have an assault or anything. You don't get a license from the state, you're done. You're not going to get a license. And they don't only look at the operators, they're going to look at the financiers as well, and the investors. So our amortization program says, if you're one of the 22, you go get a temporary license for 2 years. During those 2 years, you can operate with medicinal. In that span of time, if you think you can meet the requirements, you go apply for one of the conditional use permits in the community, or go find another location out someplace else and apply there for a CUP. Either way, if you don't get one, at the end of 2 years, you're done and you have to close. But we're not going to penalize them by saying you can't apply for the CUP. The illegal ones, we will. If you're illegal, you have to close completely before you can apply for a permit. And it's first in, no lottery. The first 2 people who make it through the CUP process in that community are the 2, and then no more. Right? And if you can't comply, so let me give you an example of the half mile from the school. Not here, but in Bakersfield. You know, we have some interesting land use. You know, we have a big refinery, an oil refinery. And technically, there's a school on the other side of it. So it might be a half a mile from that school to that dispensary, but there's a major refinery between it. It's not like the kids are going to walk past it, and maybe it's not half a mile, maybe it's a little less than half a mile. Great, they can make their case in the CUP process. I'm not going to decide, you know, the planning commission will decide, and then it's appealable to the board of supervisors, and then the public can come out, and we'll send out public notices, and everybody can have a conversation about it. But we did put standards. They have to have major ventilation. They have to get building permits. They have to have, you know, a variety of things that businesses normally do, except we're going to make sure the ventilation is even better. They can't grow. They have to go and buy their stuff. They're not growing on site in this dispensary. All right? We're going to require business licenses, so we can also track that violation. So now what's the fiscal impact? The fiscal impact is I'm going to give you the exact, it's $520,000 $124,000 impact on services. So there's an EIR mitigation measure that says that this is the first payment. Every year, all of those facilities are going to pay, it might be a little more than this, but right now it's 45 cents a square foot. Not 45 cents a square foot on their cannabis, 45 cents a square foot on their business square footage. So their bathroom, their front office. And that money would then, in the EIR, defray some costs. There is, let me see what this is here. At full build out, the treasurer tax collector needs a one-time payment to build a cash room for a while. And so that's just a one-time payment. The public health has $200,000, county council is $200,000, sheriff is $200, CAO is $50, and a community benefit fund would be set up that was suggested to me by organizations, community organizations that do drug and alcohol, adolescents and children education. They came to me after Prop 64 and said, what are we going to do? How are we going to get more money? We're already dealing with meth, we're already dealing with opiates. This is kind of a different conversation because it's technically legal, but maybe it's not. So we set up this community benefit fund that would give them grants managed by the Board of Supervisors, would probably delegate to somebody like public health, and they would be outright grants, no strings, for these community-based education. Not treatment, but education for kids and teens. And then we are also looking at adding to this, because we need, we have a homeless coalition cooperative. It is all the facilities that deal with the homeless in Kern County, like the Bakersfield Mission and the Bakersfield Homeless Center, and then out here we have a couple that cater to women. And this is an organization in Bakersfield that is very good at managing this conversation and trying to make grants work. And so we would propose there be, which is a lot of money for them, $125,000 a year to them. Once again, there are a lot of strings on money that comes from the federal government. This would be given to the coalition to look at if, to take care of the possibility of what happened in Colorado, which is that we would attract more homeless. We might not, but this is, once again, a community response for the community benefit. So that's that. Now, and those changes are on B. Now, at that time, we did a fiscal analysis in Appendix K, which is online, and I'll tell you another place you can find it, to look at what would this produce in property taxes and sales tax. Sales tax and property tax would be about $1.5 million, and then another $1 million to school districts. Okay, that's interesting. But we also looked at what if we went to the voters to get a voter cannabis tax. This is a tax on the cannabis, not a tax on the people, and not a tax on users, except indirectly. We looked at every other county, and we put that all in there. And that would produce, based on, it's based for cultivation, it's based on square footage of the cannabis. Starts at $5 a square foot, goes to $7.50 a square foot, tops out at $10 a square foot. For processing and preparation in dispensaries on gross sales, starts at 5%, goes to 7.5%, and tops out at 10%. Takes a simple majority, and I'm still trying to find out if that's a simple majority of the people who live in unincorporated Kern County or a simple majority of all the people in the county. I think it's only unincorporated because the money won't be available to the cities. It would only be available to use in unincorporated communities. At the bottom end, that would produce $33 million a year for the general fund. Now, you asked about, the fiscal, and you're correct. I have identified where we're getting the money for a ban. And this still also depends on, the voters. We would put it on the ballot, and the money it costs to put it on the ballot, which is about $1.3 million. And the cost of this EIR, which is about $350,000 plus, I don't know, $20,000 of staff time. I did most of it, and I don't charge. So that money would be recouped by a special surcharge on the cannabis industry to get that money back. So that would be something like, you pay 50 cents a square foot for a couple of years and get that money back. All right, so that's what the board asked me. Show me comprehensive comprehensively what these two things look like. Now, the processing and preparation is only allowed in industrial and in ag. The indoor cultivation for greenhouses is only allowed in ag, and you can grow in warehouses only in industrial. Okay? No, you can't do it in a shopping center. You can't do it in a residential house. And we actually wrote in there that if you have a legal non-conforming use, which is what we planners call, I have a house, and 25 years ago or 30 years ago, before we had zoning, I started using it for industrial. No, you won't be able to use that for cannabis. You're a house for purposes of this ordinance, so that we don't have that. We would then also, at this, for this regulatory, we would ban it from vendors at the county fair, which is something the legislature just allowed. You could not sell it at farmers markets. You could not come in and say, hey, I want to have the laws won't allow bars. You can't have liquor and cannabis. So Prop 64 said that, and they're instituting that. So you can't have a bar where you sell brownies with cannabis in it, because you need a license. You can't have a bar where you allow people to use, even if they vape or any of that kind of stuff, because that's smoking indoors. But in LA, they are talking in Colorado about having a lounge where you listen to music and you have edibles and you use it. We're not going to do that. That's banned. Not doing that here, even under the regulate.
You're allowing people drinking in the bars. They're allowed to drink in the
I
bars.
am so sorry, but he couldn't talk, so I'm asking that you hold on.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right? I wasn't here, because I'm not that old, when liquor prohibition stopped. Okay? I'm not that old. I'm pretty old. I've been in Rosamond for 38 years, but I am not, and I wasn't born here, so that's how old I am. But I wasn't here after Prohibition, so I'm not defending alcohol. But I will tell you one thing, okay? We don't have as much. We have undercover people that go in to make sure that these places are not serving kids. The state of California is on top of that. Underage drinking happens because parents don't lock up their liquor cabinet and kids get it at home. So when people say to me, how are you going to keep the kids from going into these establishments? They're going to follow the law just like a bar does. I believe it. I believe that the amount of money that the state's going to get to this, they're going to get $1 billion in Sacramento. You bet they're going to stay on top of this. Because everybody illegal isn't paying their taxes. They're not paying anything. We have gotten not one tax in 15 years from any of these establishments. Not one. No sales tax, no property tax, nothing. We've gotten normal property tax, but not on the valuation because they were illegal. So if they're in a building, they're supposed to pay their property taxes. But when a business goes in, we get to reassess them based on the business value. We haven't been able to do that, and we haven't done that. So they may have paid their property taxes, but they didn't pay based on the gross sales of their marijuana. I have checked with the assessor, gentlemen, and I know where your establishment is. You have not been reassessed for medicinal cannabis. And I appreciate that you paid your property taxes, but when a dry cleaner comes in or Carl's Hardware builds a new hardware store, he gets reassessed based on the value of his improvements. Okay? So I appreciate that you may pay your property taxes, but you're not paying them based on the value because you didn't get a building permit and you didn't go through the right process. Okay? So I'm saying that's my presentation. The EIR talks about the different impacts. Under the significant impacts, if we ban it, and the reason we had to do an EIR is because people will have to drive farther either to get their medicine, their medicinal, or if they want to procure adult use. So that's an impact on air. People have to drive someplace. So that's why the court said we had to do an environmental impact report. So that affects air quality, that affects those things. Under, and public services. Because we don't know where the money's going to come from enforcement, it is a significant and unavoidable impact if we ban it. It doesn't mean the board can't adopt the the environmental impact report. But that's what it takes to make sure that we do a sufficient one. Under the cumulative impacts for regulating it, our aesthetics, there could be some loss of ag land, there's air quality impacts, there's biological impacts, there's traffic impacts, and then we also looked at the alternatives. The no project alternative means we do nothing. And if we do nothing, then the 2009 ordinance is still in effect, which says you can put one of these any place you can put a pharmacy. Any place. That's the 2009 ordinance that the judge ruled was legal, that we tried to overturn. So if we do nothing, we are in worse shape than we are now. The second is that we do retail cannabis stores only. That impact has has impacts, and then the third we looked is reduced project, where we just do cultivation. That's just what we do in the area. The comment period closes September 11th technically, but you can provide comments all the way up until October when the Board of Supervisors votes. The Planning Commission is September 28th at 7 o'clock. We anticipate being at the board in October. This Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the board agenda, I am giving a briefing to the board, public briefing on the agenda. And if you go to the Clerk of the Board website, there is a report, kind of a shortened report, that you can look on online and download, okay, which includes the maps that show the 7 in Rosamond, and it shows flow charts. Okay, that's my presentation, and now I'm more than happy to listen to the yeah buts.
Okay, hold on. Just
Or
so
questions.
we can make sure this is fair to everyone, I would ask that you raise your hand. Be acknowledged by Lorelei. She will get to you. She's on a time constraint, so she'll answer as many questions as she can before she has to leave. But let her answer the question and let her acknowledge you, and then that way we can keep it orderly in here. We have a public comment period coming up in our meeting on item number 9, so if you don't get a chance to get your comments out with Lorelei, you will get a chance to get your comments out then.
Marijuana is still a federal offense. How do you guys handle money that come from the sales of marijuana?
So
And further is, how can people who own these shops not be held responsible for handling this kind of cash, or the people who sell them items to produce marijuana?
So that is absolutely an area that's in flux. We've been working with Jordan Kaufman, who's on a statewide treasurer, tax collector. Our intention is the Franchise Tax Board has been taking taxes already for the last year in cash. And I'm going to leave it to the treasurer, tax collector, and the CAO to work it out. The state of California is talking about a state bank. Remember that there are state banks like Bakersfield Republic Bank that is not a federally insured bank. It's a state bank. And so there are different rules. We are going to have them sign on their application, if we went down this route, an acknowledgement of risk. And what it will say is that it is still illegal under federal law in Schedule 1. Therefore, if we give you a land use permit, remember, all that stuff you've heard at Cal City, I'm not giving out licenses. I am permitting, just like I'd permit Carl's Hardware or dry cleaner, a use on a piece of property. They can't sell the license because the property is, it's a building on a property. And so they're going to sign this acknowledgement that I will give them a site plan sign-off or a CUP. But if a federal agency comes in and closes them down, the county is not going to defend that. This is their risk completely. Now, let me put that in a different perspective. If somebody came in to attack, name a business, another kind of business, what?
Friday.
Rite Aid. If some agency came in to attack Rite Aid and said, you're illegal, hey, the board would say, hey, planning department, it'd say, no. Their zoning's legal, they're legal, here you go, here's paperwork. We're not going to do that. This is their risk. It's their risk if the feds come in and shut them down. So that's one of the ways we're handling it.
So it's a follow-on. You say you're going to give money to the community benefit fund.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to affect those folks if you're handing illegally money that's supposedly federally illegally been handled.
You know what, it is not federally illegal because it's not coming from the dispensaries, it's coming from the general fund.
Okay.
The general fund is 60, I don't even know, what is the general fund? 6 billion, I don't know, somebody, whatever it is. 6.5, okay. It's coming from the general fund. There's no cannabis industry is giving money to someone. Yes, sir. You're next.
As stated earlier, your proposal A,
Yeah.
you don't have the funding. The county's $41 million short. We don't even have a police station in this town. Ironically, it's a cannabis.
Yeah. Next on the list.
Okay. Now, your second proposal, and I applaud the work you've done. Your second proposal, you're going to be you're going to be sued left and right by the people who are not one of the two. And Kern County hasn't shown any resolve that once they've lost to appeal or anything else. They just lose and that's it. So how is that?
That's interesting. We did
How is
appeal.
that- how is
We
that
lost
going
at
to-
we lost at the appellate court. We didn't lose at the superior court on this. And the
Okay,
Supreme
well,
Court
I was
didn't take
saying-
it up. No, the Supreme Court wouldn't take it up. The Supreme Court doesn't just take something up because you appeal.
No,
They
I
wouldn't take the
understand
issue up. So yeah, we'll defend this. And here's the difference. We now have clear rules from the state of California. We didn't have that. We have clear rules from the state of California. The Proposition 64 clearly says a local government can regulate and ban. That is totally different from where we are with medicinal. Totally different. And so this is a different atmosphere. You're next. And it did, hold on, let me finish the question. But you are next, and then this young lady in the back. So that's different. That's what's different. It's different. And this is zoning. There is all the way back to Euclid, Ohio in 1939 or 23, sorry. We have years and years and years of United States Supreme Court cases on zoning. This is zoning that I'm doing. This isn't cannabis law, and so I can defend it. I have the right, as long as, here's what I can't do. I thought about it, but I can't legally do it. I can't legally say, you can't put a dispensary, if we allow dispensaries at all, I can't say, well, you can't put any in Rosamond. Because the court has said that that's not equal protection. All property owners aren't protected. Maybe there's a property owner in Rosamond that wants to make money off of it. So I can't do that. But what I can do is limit it countywide so that there's a logic to it. I tried. I really thought of about 10 different ways of trying it, but it won't pass the legal test. So I'm defending zoning, and that has a long history. Yes, sir.
I'm going on zoning. In 2010, you sent me a letter asking for compliance on my store, AVDC on Diamond Street.
Correct.
I provided you with all the necessary documents
That's
to
correct.
provide our legality in our county. And then you sent me a letter, Al Rojas sent me a letter saying that we were one of the legal dispensaries added to the Kern County list of dispensaries.
That's right. You're on the list.
Exactly, but the thing is, what you did to me after we complied with Measure D, moving. You hit me with a racketeering charge, you imprisoned me.
I
You know
didn't
what,
do
you
any
know,
of that.
you know what the county did after the Kern County arrested me? The next day, I was served with
That's
a
because
notice to shut
state
down. You know what the county,
Okay, you
Lorelei.
may finish. Please go ahead. The court overruled our ordinance. Sorry, if you had gone, we're just talking here because we're
But I
friends.
won my
If
my
you
zoning,
had
my
gone
zoning
to
case.
the other cannabis people and told them not to sue Measure G, which was voted on by these people, then you would have been okay. But instead, you're right.
Can I
People
ask you why,
disagree.
Lorelei, my bail was $3.2 million
Well,
for medical cannabis more than a child molester or a rapist or a murderer?
You're still
I have
in
a
business, so.
Why did you do
that?
I also have a question.
Why? And after you told me to shut down, and we complied, and we did all we needed to do, you still let all these other shops open in Rosamond,
No,
under your feet.
they're all
And you
illegal.
did an FDA raid with Kern
They're
County
all
sheriffs
illegal.
this week, and they still open even after you ordered them to shut
We
down.
didn't raid you.
Doesn't matter.
Because you're on the
But
list.
you're here for the people. They're still open. Those people that are selling those edibles,
I'm not on the task force.
I got
We will
something
go
to
after them again. Yes, sir.
you imprisoned me.
I didn't imprison you. Let's
you
be
did.
clear,
just
I'm
called-
the planning director.
Ms.
I don't
Lorelei,
imprison people.
You're lying, Lorelei.
You just told the public about Measure G that your county lost because we went and sued you.
Not you didn't sue, someone else did.
Well, I was one of the collectives that did
Well,
sue.
if you hadn't overturned it, then we would have legal, medicinal, and we would have places to put them.
Well, see, where you put us is in the middle of nowhere, in a desert, where you told us to go build something in the middle. Were you gonna pay us to build that?
No, and I
Who was gonna pay us?
I don't pay.
You put us in a 5-mile radius zoning where there's nothing around you.
1 mile.
It was a 5 mile.
It was not, it was 1 mile from school.
It was 5-mile radius.
Obviously,
I have all that
over there,
paperwork if the
1
people
mile.
would like to see it. It was 5-mile radius.
So do I.
There was no location like that in Kern County.
Yes, there
And
is.
you guys turned around and told us, hey, you know what? Go build it. We don't care. You can go build it. And we said, are you going to pay for us? You said no. And we said, we're going to sue you. And that's what we exactly did. And you lost. And now again, you're talking about zoning laws.
You are not, I apologize for interrupting you, but you obviously don't know how business operates. When one of these people comes to me and says, I have a can I borrow the high-speed rail? This is a vacant piece of property, and I want to build my new hardware store. It doesn't have a road, it doesn't have sidewalks, it doesn't have a building. They don't say to me, hey Lorelei, will you build it for me? We say, oh, you need to pave a road, you need to put in sidewalks, and that's exactly what we told you. You need to put in the improvements just like a dry cleaner, and that was the answer. Aren't you going to do that?
There
for
wasn't
me?
any structure. There wasn't any structure for
I
me to
know,
put in
you're
any
supposed to build
improvements.
it.
Now the other thing, Ms. Lorelei, when you're talking about, let's say, that we had to go and so on, you lifted the ban in 2010 and allowed 21 medicinal marijuana dispensaries to operate in your county. After that, you put a moratorium. Correct or
That's
incorrect?
correct.
That's correct.
Moratorium is-
You allowed 21.
I didn't allow 20.
Your county did.
The court allowed 22.
You're here speaking from behind the county, so you're
The court
responsible.
allowed.
The court
22
allowed. I
that
apologize.
complied
The
with
court.
the 2009 ordinance, and we
No.
haven't touched.
We're talking about in 2010
Okay,
now.
you know what? I really appreciate this. You have my phone number. You are always welcome to come in and talk.
But
to
you
me.
gave me a letter that I'm allowed to operate, and then
Yeah.
you turn around and say, hey, you know what? You need to move. You need to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
How
that's
would you
right.
do that to Carl's Heart or any other entity
Okay,
here
I've done
when
it.
you allow them to operate, and then you say, hey, you know what? There's a shooting down the street, so you got to close your doors down, and you got to go down the street, or you got to go middle of nowhere and put your community in danger, because most of the medicinal marijuana community is elderly community, to be honest with you,
And
not
we need
younger.
6. We need 6 in downtown Rosamond. I have
You don't
so
need
many
6, you only need
elderly.
2.
Well, I
That's
have
all
so
you
many.
need.
Feel
You should do
free.
your job right and shut down the rest.
I
That's all
can't
you
shut
need to
down the
do.
rest because they're legal as well. There's 6. Yes, sir.
I would like to talk about the compassionate side of this. I hear a lot of negativity and a lot of shutdown, tap.
I didn't say anything about
Let
shutting
me
down.
speak, please.
You may, please.
Okay. I got my 83-year-old mom through cancer with cannabis oil. Okay?
Sure.
I bet you there's probably half of the people in here have either smoked marijuana or taken it in an edible form or CBD form. If they haven't, they should probably look into it. It's one of the safest.
No, it's not.
Hold
It's all right. Let's let him,
on a
let's let
second.
him talk.
But I get my 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Please,
let's let him
I
talk.
get my 3 minutes to speak,
Yeah, I agree.
and then everybody can get their 3.
I agree.
Please don't interrupt me. Have respect for me as I will have for you.
I agree.
Okay. The pot seed is the most sought after seed on the face of the planet. It is the most nutritious seed that you can ingest in your body on the face of the planet. They sell it at Trader Joe's. Every athlete in the world uses it. It's got mega oils 1 to 29. It's got vitamins A, B, C, all the way through the gamut. There's not one seed on the face of the planet that does that. Number 2, if you're talking about indoor growing, outdoor cannabis purifies and clears the air. Say you have a square acre of cannabis. It clears the air more than 3,000 spruce trees. People have to do their homework when it comes to talking about cannabis. Cannabis has CBD, CBN, CBCs, and THC. THC being the psychoactive that gets you stoned. You cannot have CBD oil work without THC. It's completely genetically impossible. So to have CBD oil work in your system to fight cancer and put a ring around cancer, and that it cures brain cancer. I read the medical journal all the time. Where's your compassion for the people? You're so hungry to shut everybody down, you're gonna make a cancer patient drive to LA to get their oil? I'm talking about the compassionate side of it.
Okay,
I
thank
could
you.
go on.
I
I'll
do
shut my
appreciate
3
that.
minutes early.
Hold on, everybody. Everybody put their hands down for a minute. I'm bringing forward 2 options. Ban it or regulate it. Under regulated, there would be 40 places in Kern County where you could buy medicinal or you could buy adult use. I'm bringing forward 2 different options on your point. I do appreciate that you brought up outdoor. I will get into these details. Outdoor uses 4 times as much water as indoor. This is an adjudicated basin. We don't have enough water for our own houses. The Rosamond Community Services District didn't get enough water for our 16,000 people. And in the valley, there's not enough water. So that was one of the reasons. It's not that you're right about the air quality, but indoor can recycle their water, they can manage it, and outdoor uses more water. Well, they don't, because of evaporation, we're a desert. I invite you to read the EIR. We went to Colorado, we went to other places, we talked to outdoor growers. I got my information from cannabis growers, and in there we had the difference in the water. And my concern is they may want to grow outdoors, but they're not going to be able to secure enough water. So I haven't made a decision on outdoor. I haven't made a decision on any of this, but you're correct.
There are 9 different ways to grow medical cannabis.
Okay.
Half of them are outdoor, half of them are indoor.
Okay.
And you can reuse the water, and you can also use solar. There's a ton of different
I have
ways to help the environment out.
I have
not
required
destroy the
solar in
environment.
the environmental impact report. I have required that. Okay. Someone we haven't heard from. Sorry, please go ahead, sir. We'll start over here and we'll
You
scourge
said to
around.
bring up a business. I happen to be directly involved in a business with one of the businesses is out to settle the west, mining.
Okay.
And ranching districts for it. And we've been in a permitting process. We finally got our CUP from Kern County after 15 years of the permitting process. You talk about jumping through hoops. We've dealt with every agency and every environmental agency, and we still didn't want, even though
Right.
we had to recently.
What kind of mine?
I know you know the name, the Eagle Lode Mining
Okay.
Operation.
All right.
And I'm the go-to guy on
Yeah.
running all these agencies. And finally, to get it rolling, I had to call my son Andy, who had been involved at the state capitol at various levels of the government up there. And I said, Andy, we need some help. And he said, what's up, Dad? And I explained the situation to him. He said, oh, no, I've got a few doors. And all of a sudden, he was initially held up by the state water resources. Found out they shoved things in a drawer. The guy, the engineer that was handling the case, ended up losing his job over it. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, just the tangles that we've had to go through for this process to open the door. I ran a feed store here in Rosamond for 20 years. Every year, the state would come by, the county would come by, have to certify my scale that I sold bird seed on, and I always, if you came in 22 pounds of canary feed, I always made sure you walked out with 2.5 pounds. So, my point being is, how in the hell did this happen to us, if I could use that word? That we've gotten to this point, that I'm sorry, guys, whatever you're selling, and it may be good for a whole lot of people and so forth, but if for medicinal purposes, what the hell is the Drug and Food Administration on that? I mean, the testing should have been the first thing.
I agree.
The taxing, what the heck's the state of California doing? Allowing this sort of thing to go on without having the State Board of Equalization bring it down, you fellas neck. Have you guys dealt with them? You need to if you have.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Great material.
So,
I don't want to talk to you
so the
about it.
compassionate
But
care, you're right.
we talked about the positive. He's talking about not totally verifiable medical results. I'm not against anybody in this room that cares to light up and have it. I don't want to breathe it, so I'll leave the room if they do. However, let's talk about the real positive effect of it. Of course, our police protection has increased because we have a steady flow of traffic. The majority of your customers coming from south of here, from north of here, because it's so readily available in this town. Okay, now let's get back to the regulation part of it. Understanding how bureaucracy works, having been involved in this project for 15 years, how soon, I mean, you get a nice talk and the tax percentages, this is going to go here, this is going to go there, and so forth. I want to know about implementation of this plan.
Okay.
I think that this board of supervisors needs to get this from you, jump on it immediately, and make them subject to the same damn rules that everybody else in business has to play
Got
by.
it, got it. And they'll decide in October, so you've only got another month.
I'll quit preaching.
And then you have another month. And, you know, the implementation, your mine, which is a fascinating mine, is complicated by the state gets to say a lot of stuff about the mine.
It also got complicated
But
initially
on-
when we applied for the permits. Cliff Burton, the owner of the place, one of the most patient, honest, upright individuals in the world, hired me to do assay work about 15 years ago. The gold ever hit 400 gallons.
Right, right.
Can you imagine the frustration?
Yeah, there it goes up and down.
It'd be a
Yeah.
going concern.
Yeah.
We're talking a business that's done a truly great job.
Right.
Truly gonna pay oodles of tax into Kern County, the state, feds, everybody. And it's a prime damn shame that we have to go through this, and we're doing it willingly. I put a smile on my face.
Yeah, we need to-
So you asked about-
biologist. Go first.
You asked about implementation. There are flowcharts online at our website and also in this that explain it this way.
First of all, I'm curious to why you wanted them shut down in this county to begin with, when nothing for the past hour or so has been money, 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 money. This gentleman here even had mentioned how there's so much traffic and flow into this town now for money, money, money revenue to your town for these things. So that's good. They have to get gas, they have to get food. That's beside the point. I do want to address the elephant in the room where I feel like you have a personal animosity or hatred towards it and you don't see the medical benefit. I don't know. Well, this gentleman had mentioned.
Completely not true. That's completely not true. Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about him or me.
But again, have you ever lost anyone
Okay,
to
I'm sorry.
suicide or cancer, gentlemen? Wait, please don't interrupt me.
No,
Can I get my minute? I said something pretty serious and you're
First of all,
not.
young lady, young lady.
Greg,
Does anyone in this-
I don't think this is about people talking to each other.
Everybody, please. Everybody's gonna have your attention.
Some disorders. are
One
not
person at a time to speak. Give them the respect to say what they have to say. Don't interrupt them. Thank you.
so loud. And when I'm a little tiny voice, a little person.
I totally
A lot of
get
people
what you're
are
saying.
angry about this, and I don't see the crime. We've been here for hours. I haven't heard one single crime. Why is this shut down in this town? There's so
Okay.
much. I'm not done.
Okay,
I'm not done. There's so much money involved, and a lot of these people want this money to be put in the community in the right way. We live in. I'm standing here before you telling you, you're shaking your head at me, and that's not true. I personally donated cans to where I'm starving and have no food. Every year to my dispensary, we've had truckloads, and we get them to Race Resource Center, the vets, the VFW. We give back because there's not tax. We're able to give that right there, us. So don't say that we don't give back to the community. Every year for Christmas, we cannot get all the toys out. There's truckloads of toys. My dispensary does that I brought toys. We take to the community. That's giving back. I haven't seen any crime or problems. It's just they didn't pay enough. They paid these taxes, but they didn't pay enough. All the testings and stuff about whether it's beneficial or not has not been funded because it was illegal and they were scared. So it's not that it's not beneficial. I stand here before you today in a room full of strangers saying it saved my life many of times and talked me off the ledge. So right there alone, you don't see the medical benefit. I'm right here. I want to help on both ends. Clearly, both people are fired up because it's been decades, generations, hundreds of years of people being mad. I see people who are against it. These disgusting looks on your face, like, what is the problem? This community needs the money.
We don't need to.
Okay, thank you.
We don't need a hundred, but that's what I'm saying.
She
We need to
she's
disagree,
brought her
let's come
side.
together and stay in the middle and have a happy medium.
She's
Regulated.
brought her
Why
side.
though? But why not?
We're not gonna open it up
So
after
kill
what I did.
myself, die from cancer because you don't want it in your community.
She's
Right,
brought.
so-
Greg,
And then
are we
why
gonna
are
keep
people
having
having
conversation or am I gonna finish my presentation?
Please.
She,
If we're gonna get through this, it's gonna turn into a yelling match and everything else.
Put a time
If
limit.
somebody is talking,
Yeah.
let them talk. Don't get into an argument back and forth. Raise your hand, you get called on, you'll get a chance to say what you want to say. Please have respect for the person that's talking. Let them talk, say their piece, and then you'll get called on to say your piece.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There's a lot of things to touch on. It's really hard to get us on this meeting. And then the environmental, the water is an issue.
Right.
That is a fixable issue to come together. There's not just one. It's not flat. This industry is, there's the food, the Bureau of Regulation.
Right.
There's real estate. There's so much.
Right.
It's impossible to regulate it all. And you need a happy medium. You need people who's in the industry that will help on both. You
Yeah,
want,
I have met with, to put this together, I met with people in the industry. I just want to be clear with you. I've met with many people in the industry. You are absolutely right about many things
Well,
you
then
said.
environmental
Wait a minute.
policy-
Are you going to let me finish now? I did not address, there's nothing in the CIR about whether it's medicinally this or that. And I didn't stand up here and say it wasn't good for medicine. I am taking no position. I'm a planner. There are people here who may have that opinion, but this regulation would be for both medicinal and adult use, and, you know, it's up to the board if you don't want to have a complete ban. But the fact remains that you weren't, I don't know if you were here for the last meeting where people came just a month ago and expressed their concerns about not for this particular dispensary, but there are other dispensaries, maybe not the one that you get Christmas baskets from, but there are other dispensaries that don't respect the community. Okay? When we did the raid, they were selling bath salts. Is there anybody here who thinks that selling bath salts is a
Have you
good
ever
thing?
used them though? If you haven't used them, they reduce inflammation. I had a breast
Bath
tumor.
salts?
I had a breast tumor.
Not bad at all.
Have you used it? Have you used
Okay,
it? Ma'am,
we
we're
have to
done.
limit you to 3 minutes.
We have banned bath salts. We have banned bath salts based on the science. We're not talking about cannabis. We're talking about bath
Well,
salts.
that was my question. Is
Fake
it
meth.
an environmental issue or is it a personal bias?
I don't have a personal bias. I brought forth a ban and regulations. Sorry, you have to go. And I would like to hear these people's questions. Let's start here. Your question.
Lots of concerns with your projections on the revenue.
Okay.
With a cash economy, how are you going to enforce reporting it?
Excellent
It says
question.
you don't have prepackaged.
No, we
It's
do.
not
It will be.
for inventory.
No, it will be. So the way the state has designed this, and they're still going through the regulations, remember we're talking about the legal, not the illegal, we're talking about the legal. The state will require, I'm a cultivator and I grow it. I have to send my product, it's got to have a track and trace on it. Every plant, every seed has to be tracked in this major software system that the state has. And it goes to Josh, who's the tester. He's the independent tester. He has no financial interest in any of this. He gets paid to test it. And he then has to put it into the software system. This is for medicinal, for its purity, and it's for adult use, for no pesticides, and he has to quantify it. That grower has, we'll just make it up, has 1 ton, okay? Before it can go to the dispensary, they have to show they paid their taxes. It's not going from the tester and the distributor to the dispensary until they report that all their taxes have been paid, and there will be a report that the state manages. That's how they're doing it, track and trace from seed to sale. And that's what we do with liquor. Yeah, it's true, there could be some bootleg liquor around, but the majority of liquor, you know, it's taxed, it goes to the liquor store is not selling it under its rate. Now, we'll see, maybe the state, you know, we'll see how that works.
But liquor is prepackaged.
This has to be prepackaged too. This is be prepackaged. It has to be prepackaged
So
to
they're
go to the
going to sell like
dispensary.
prepackaged 1 ounce bags?
And it has to be in special kinds of bags. There's already regulations out. It has to be opened with a knife. You can't have a cartoon on it. You can go online and look at this. There's 3 major state agencies that are working overtime, including the Bureau of, it says medicinal cannabis now, but January 1st it changes to just cannabis. But I will point out something else. You know, Prop 64 did this. The collective idea will disappear. Now, there are some taxes that medicinal doesn't have to pay, and that was part of Prop 64 from the Compassionate Act. There's taxes that adult use will pay, but medicinal won't have to pay. But the collectives will go away. You will not be able to be a nonprofit collective and get a license. You will have to be part of this system. Who else do we have? We'll go down the road here. Yes.
Definitely an option A supporter, but on option B, you said that the unincorporated parts of Kern County would be listed as 2 dispensaries.
No, unincorporated community. So it's not just the area, we're gonna have these maps that show what the community boundaries are. And you could only have 2 or you could have none.
So what would that look like for Rosamond?
It could be none, it could be 2.
Okay. So how would we?
Wouldn't be 22.
How would we
Wouldn't be
get
7.
there from here?
So the 22 will be, if this is adopted, they would be amortized out. They would have to, they could get a license from the state, they could pass the state rules for temporary. They don't have to pass anything else from the county. They go get their temporary license, and for 2 years they would operate. During those 2 years, they can apply for a conditional use permit to stay where they're at and go through that process, or they can go find another location that's better for them and go through that process. If they don't get a conditional use permit, or they don't get a state license, they have to close. That's the idea. For the 7 in Rosamond, 6 in the town, 1 out in the hinterland. In 30 days, we're still working it out, but 30 days before the ordinance is effective, if your facility's not open, because the one out at 100th Street closed some time ago, it probably hasn't reopened, it's going to lose its legal status, so it can't just reopen. That's the idea. Okay, we were going down the list here. Yes, sir, you've been waiting patiently.
So I just have 2 questions. If we 100% ban, we get no money and we have to spend money to shut them down, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So,
and we will go after state money. And
but we won't make any money off of shutting them down.
Right.
Okay. If we go with the regulate plan, then that opens up all the revenue generated from the shops to be put into the general fund. And then the general fund, that money is dispersed per unincorporated area based on need or however it is right now.
Right.
So the increase in money that we get to put into that general fund, would that help us be able to fund actually getting our police department back here?
Yes, it would.
In their own building even possibly?
Yes, and those would be.
Now, is there any way that if we decide, if we decide to go with the regulate, is there any way that we could push that that's the first priority for this area?
Yes, you can make that request.
That we can get our police department back here.
Right.
Because since they shut down is when we've had problems.
Right, and you can make that request, and some communities are now starting to look at, okay, under a ban, here's what happens, and here's our request.
Right, so if
Under
we ban,
regulate,
we lose
here's
all
our
the
request.
income we get, plus the people coming up here and
Right.
spending money in other businesses.
Right.
Whereas if we regulate it, yeah, we'll lose some because there won't be as many shops, but we still have money coming in. And then we'd have the ability.
By the way, we would not allocate from those 2 shops. I mean, that's not the way it works now.
They would all go into the general fund.
Yeah, but
for
so if you
people.
wanted to make the case, we've been impacted unfairly in the past, and we should have.
So you can file a hardship.
Because, well, you know, part of it is you made a great case last month, which, you know, the sheriff helped make, which is, you know, we go all the way out to 300.
Yeah.
300, you know, that's a long drive if somebody lives out there, even at 100th Street or 98th, right? And then they're out there, and then you call, and I live in here. I live in the urban area, as I like to call it, downtown. So, you know, you need more.
Okay, so then the second part to that question is that if we ban it, we won't get more police officers, but that will open up the black market for underground drug sales again, like it was before the dispensaries.
And you know, the state of California has said that they want their $1 billion. The state of California is going to get this $1 billion from the legal, and they've said they will help communities, you know, put out the illegal. I'm just being a realist here, which is if you're the state of California and you only have so many resources, and one community is regulating and helping your $1 billion, don't you think they're going to get more attention to help shut down the illegal? And then if we ban it and we're not producing any money, I think we're going to be last on the list for the state. Not saying they won't help us, but that's, you know, that's one of the things that we need to look at.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, back to you. Oh, sorry, can I take her first, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, you know, these people were talking about how passionate and medicinal and all this stuff, but I've gone down Sierra Highway and there's the solid double lines, and I've had people pass me and cut right in front of me to get into the pot shop. And tell me that's not dangerous. And then on top of that, these people aren't doing extra shopping or anything else in the area. They're just going to the pot shop.
Right.
The only place that may get extra business is the donut shop. That's it. And I have issue with this so-called medicinal as far as cancer.
Okay.
My mother had ovarian that metastasized throughout her body. She was told that their marijuana would not help her or the oil would not help her. Okay? I had breast cancer. It was not given to me either because they said it's not going to do any good.
Okay.
So why is everybody so up in the people who have allergies, especially asthma, they just did studies in Australia and England that they prove that they should stay away. Anybody who has allergies in general to plants and whatever shouldn't be smoking this stuff or near it because it can affect them, especially if you have any type of allergies. And asthma is special. If it goes in asthmatic, you could die from it.
Well, I think that's why Prop 64, which the voters voted for, says you can't do it in public at all, unless the city allows it.
Even if you have yourself have it.
Well, I think that's, and I'm not going to comment, but that's true. But that is a personal choice. That's a personal choice.
If somebody tells, well, you try it, it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, got
Well, you know, you don't know what you're allergic to until it happens. So you can't sit there and say it's going to cure all and all and everything.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
The doctors
They
say
push
that,
their
not
stuff
us.
because they want to sell it.
Right. Thank you.
That's what the
Yes.
doctor says.
I got a quick question. Is this legal or illegal? Can you just go down 8 miles down the street, I'm not gonna say exactly where, and pop up a greenhouse and start growing your 98 plants and
No.
say you got a permit?
No.
So it's illegal?
Commercial has been banned, and that ordinance wasn't overturned. For personal use, you can grow right now, if you have your medical card, you can grow 12 plants on your own legal lot. The state pushed it down to 6, so we have to, that'll be changed. But commercial has never been legal. Commercial growing has never been legal in Kern County. Okay, let me come back here and then I'm going to sweep around the back.
No, you're not.
Go ahead. And then I'll come back. And people have, we're going to give people a first time here. Go
On
ahead.
the proposal for regulating it, did you look at what Lancaster, Palmdale, Little Rock, and the surrounding areas of Rosamond are going to do?
Yes, they did.
I'm asking because if you're going to regulate it, it needs to be somewhat comparable to what they're doing, or you're still gonna have the same amount of it going on up here. It'll just, everybody will go down to Lancaster to get it because it's cheaper if they're not taxing it as hard. You make it to where it's not competitive, and we're not gonna get any of the money from it because no shop will open here, they'll outright out of Lancaster.
We did look at that. Lancaster's not allowing dispensaries. They are doing cultivation. Palmdale's not either, so whatever's there is illegal. But in our EIR, we looked at counties. We did look at the counties. So that's a good point.
Well, just one other quick one.
Sure.
The edibles,
Yes.
I know now they make like little gummy bear looking things or whatever. Are they gonna regulate that? 'Cause
Yes.
I know like with vaping, if you make
Yes.
anything that has candy on the front of it or whatever, it can't be sold.
You
to
can't make
kids
a
like this.
lollipop. There's different kinds of candies that the Cox 64 said. You can't put cartoons on the packages, all of those kinds of things. There's also legislation to ban it from billboards. We're hoping that that would pass. We don't know if that's going to pass in the legislature. You can't put Seagram 7 on a billboard near a school. We don't think you should be able to put this.
Completely. You guys need to understand she's kind of neutral. So I want to direct my comments to you, gentlemen, and the board, if you don't mind, right? After she's done with this, right? Am I correct that after she's done, she's giving you guys the report and everything, you guys will do the further follow-up on it and enforcement of it afterwards?
Absolutely not.
Who is in charge of enforcing this after we vote for it and everything? Because I think a couple people, okay.
Compliance, public health at Matt Constantine, the planning department, all of those people. I enforce right now, I'm going to talk about signs before I leave. I'm going to talk about signs on Sierra Highway, as a matter of fact. We enforce it. Code
Okay.
compliance.
So there are a couple of concerns I have, okay? For example, there are people who have done very good things and followed the right path. And bad things have happened to them. And it's no hidden thing. It's in newspapers everywhere what happens to people sometimes in our industry. It's, you know, no big surprise. What we're concerned about, I don't believe in Plan A because I'm purely medical. You're all welcome to come and see me monthly at the Quartz Hill Walk-In Medical Clinic and speak about any medical cannabis subject you want. I will investigate it for you. So A is not an option for me. So I firmly believe we got to get B to pass, but I do have concerns like once B passes, who's going to enforce it? Who's going to make sure, say, some kind of tragedy that can cost somebody a huge amount of money doesn't happen?
What do you mean by tragedy?
Say example, I'm fighting for cannabis, right? I don't have a lot of money. I'm not a collective owner or nothing like that. I'm a nonprofit charity that just speaks to people.
Okay.
Right? Now, say I'm teaching people in a collective about cannabis or something. They come raid and arrest everybody, and I'm just trying to help patients in there, and I ain't got the money. How am I going to be okay in 3 billions? Or what about the patients that might get caught up in there after it goes through?
You need to take that up with the state of California, because collectives are going away. Prop 64 says everything has to go through a brick and mortar dispensary.
Okay.
Your collective won't get a permit. That's the state of California.
I have a follow-up.
I'm not going to do background checks. I'm not going to do any of that, because the state now is going to do all that.
Okay.
And they're going to come in and look at the edibles, and they're going to make sure that there's no pesticides that shouldn't be in the medicinal, and that's all going to be done by the state of California. So I get that, but that's what Proposition 64 did. So when people voted for that, they didn't vote for the Compassionate Care Act goes away, and it's replaced by this new structure.
I have an important follow-up question for it. Were those agency members that were in those raids recently, were they local or state? Okay, so this goes back to you guys. This is where you're playing a little bit of sideball, okay? You're saying state, 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 but the state is not what's touching us. I need to know what the city plans to do. Will there be some kind of group brought together in these cities, like you're saying, that might pass it? Yes, I want to hear Chairman Gregg, please.
Okay. Rosamond is an unincorporated township. Okay, we are not a city. This council here is an advisory council to the Board of Supervisors. All we do is we give recommendations and we give them what's going on in our community. That's the reason for this meeting. This meeting and everything that's going on in it is going to get reported back to the Board of Supervisors, so they have an idea of what's going on in the community. We don't have any authority over this cannabis regulations. This is the Board of Supervisors. This meeting is being held tonight to give all of you a voice to say what you need to say. Lorelei is giving you the information to email, to get your comments into the planning department, to go to the Board of Supervisors meeting and speak there, and to address your concerns in those avenues as well. And around sometime in October, the Board of Supervisors, I believe their first meeting in October.
Well, I wouldn't say the first meeting.
Or sometime in October.
You know, I will make a recommendation to the Planning Commission, and that time you'll see which way I recommend it. September 28th and September 22nd, you'll see what I'm recommending. The Planning Commission will have a public hearing and make a recommendation. Once again, the board could take their recommendation or not take their recommendation. But they're going to continue to take public comment. That's the process. You're absolutely right. And the Rosamond MAC is empowered to look at all land use notices that I send out, and this is one. They have a committee. You still have a committee, right?
Yep, sure.
And then they write up on their letterhead based on what everybody comes up. Maybe it'll be 2 sides. I don't know what it's going to be. And they send their recommendation, which goes into the official record. And I will make, I always make sure that they get all the notices. And sometimes this happens. Sometimes people disagree, and the Rosamond MAC in a couple of cases has brought both opinions forward. That's happened on at least one land use case. So I just really appreciate you having me. Can I just say one more thing? We are trying with Diamond Street and the donation of the solar street lights and to kind of pick up the quality of the community. Okay, the signs on Sierra Highway, you cannot put a sign for your business or for anything in that strip along Sierra Highway next to railroad tracks. And most of those are not businesses I recognize from Rosamond. There's 2 of them that are from Rosamond. We're going to contact those businesses and get them a chance to take it down. But I am going to contact code compliance. I don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks good at all. And so I'm going to go to code compliance. Our rules were established by the Board of Supervisors, not by me. And we're going to get those signs down. But for people who have signs there, I recommend you go take them down so that they're not damaged. I want to give you a kind of a heads up here. Go ahead and take them down. And I say that because the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce did a beautiful job getting donations to repaint the Welcome to Rosamond sign. That's the only sign that's legal. We gave them a permit, they put it up, it's beautiful. There are some other businesses who put up beautiful signs, but I don't have any way to permit them. Yes?
Okay, I don't mean to bring a dead horse back into the room, but I got here kind of late. I missed the first part of your presentation.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the kids, and they just built this new school up
Right.
there.
Beautiful.
And what is, all these people, all these businesses want to build in this community.
Okay, let me meet with you, because I just gave a big long presentation that if we ban it, it's banned. If we regulate it, they have to be half a mile from the school. There can only be 2 or none in this community. So let me.
What about the parks?
Half a mile from a park as well.
That's all I wanted.
I really appreciate everyone's comments. Once again, I have not made a recommendation. I am taking, the public comment as well.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Yes, of course.
Are we restricted to either A or B because of the EIR?
No, if you have some modification on the 2 of them, please make your recommendation.
Now, which one is closest to Measure G?
You have to think of it this way. Measure G had very few locations. So you have to remember, if the medicinal people and even the adult users, but let's use the compassionate, how far do they have to drive to get someplace? How are you making sure that they're not, in the middle of, back roads of Tehachapi? So Measure G, put them in the middle of, industrial areas that were a long way away from various areas. And you also have to look at the fiscal. Because we could allow them, but we wouldn't generate enough money to enforce anything. So that's the other side of the coin. It's perfectly fine. One of the alternatives is to not have dispensaries and just do cultivation. The other alternative is to just have dispensaries and not have cultivation. So you can look at those and we can chat more. All right, I really appreciate everyone, and I will be outside if someone
Lorelei?
wants to talk.
So the point is, you're accepting comments now, so now is the time to
Go ahead.
sync the report and provide comment. This is the time
Right.
to do it. You're in the zone now. So if you need the email address, you're more than welcome to come and copy it on something.
It's on the back there. One of my staffers was taking comments.
And I would recommend to everyone, because I haven't had a chance to read the EIR yet, but whether you're pro or con to marijuana dispensaries, everyone should go home, get a nice big mug of coffee or 2, and sit down and read it till you fall asleep, which will take about 5 minutes. These EIRs are very dry, but all kidding aside, read the report. Get all the facts in the report on what went into it, all the impacts. This thing
stopped. Several $100,000 worth of marijuana products were seized, as well as illegal bath salts declared Schedule 1 by the federal government. Code enforcement, county fire, sheriff's office, and public health are all constituents of this enforcement task force. And let's see, building code violations were issued, as well as public health and safety violations, weights and measurements, and yeah, that's about that. And more enforcement will be coming within the next couple months. The board will be deciding on which route we will be taking, if we will go in for a complete ban or issuing our own regulatory system. That concludes my supervisor's report. If anybody has
worry about, so they can stay on the streets, take care of crime issues, etc. We are always seeking volunteers. There is a minimal requirement of only 8 hours a month. Along that line, some of the things that we do, obviously you've seen us out here supporting some of the parades. We do drive around in a marked patrol vehicle, going on a patrol, checking neighborhoods, driving through town, checking for businesses. We do participate in what's called a child ID program out here, where we will go ahead and provide services to where children are brought to some of the local events, and we will go ahead and take a photo of them. We'll document their height, we'll document their eye color, their weight, and give the parents a little ID card. In the event that something may happen, we have identification for the child. We also help with administrative duties, taking paperwork back and forth to the headquarters in Bakersfield. So a lot of the stuff that we do takes the time, we take the time to do it, so the deputies don't have to necessarily focus on that, so they can once again stay out on the street, taking care of crime issues. There are some instances where we will assist them with doing some searches and a few other things along that line if it is indeed necessary. Currently for Rosamond, we have 10 volunteers. We not only have that for our group, Mojave has a group, Mojave Boron. There's also a volunteer group in Ridgecrest and Tehachapi. We work together. If there's an event going on in another area, if we can participate, we do so, and vice versa. So just if anybody has any more questions or anything, or any interest in joining, please let me know. I have some applications. We do go through the same background process that a deputy does, including a background check, drug testing, stuff along that line. And we are sworn members of the Kern County Sheriff's Department. So I thank you all for your time. If anybody has any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to ask.
How many hours do you put in?
How many hours? It kind of varies. There are some hours I will put in 30, 35 hours a month, and there's some based upon my work schedule and stuff, because it is voluntary. I do 12, 15, it just depends in general. I have some unit members that'll put in 40, 50, 60 hours a month, if not a little bit more.
What if
So
you can't do
it's
it for a couple of
voluntary.
months, you couldn't put in your 8 hours, what's the issue there?
Well, there is no issue as long as there's notice ahead of time. We do have medical leave. We have people that get sick or have family members. It just, we need to be notified, the department does ahead of time, so we can make arrangements to have those hours not tracked if necessary. We do help out with the Kern County Fair also. We are required to participate in the Kern County Fair, assisting with needs, mainly missing children. We kind of keep an eye on the ride area and the games area and stuff. So those are just a few of the things that we do. We do it for the community, once again, to help out so the deputies can indeed stay on the streets and get done what they need to do.
How many vehicles does Kern have to support this organization?
Vehicle-wise, for the volunteer organization, we have 2. You've probably seen them, we've got 2 Dodge Chargers. They're
Is
the
that
white
here in
cars.
Rosamond?
That's what we have here in Rosamond. Correct. The volunteer vehicles are Dodge Chargers.
The board here is elected or appointed, and hopefully there are 7 different opinions, perspectives, ideas on how to do things. And our job is to sit here and discuss things back and forth, which I think we do pretty well. But one thing that has been constant is that we're supposed to be the voice of the community. And we are supposed to listen to what the community wants. And I would say that roughly 90% of the people coming to these meetings have voiced opposition to the marijuana dispensaries. I know that this board has been opposed to the marijuana dispensaries. I know that Kern County has been opposed to the marijuana dispensaries. And I know that this board here has sent 2 letters to the Board of Supervisors in opposition to them. So I feel that when this board has taken a position to be against the marijuana dispensaries, that we are being the voice of this community. And, you know, I went and did some research, and I want to thank John for giving me the permission to use this. But I went and dug up an old Rosamond News article from July 28th, 2014. And I'm just going to read. Kern County Council advises RMAC. Teresa Goldner, Kern County Council, came to the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council meeting on Thursday, July 17th, 2014. The Office of County Council, at the direction of the Board of Supervisors, has filed 3 lawsuits on 3 dispensaries in your area. That's when we only had 3 here. And they filed lawsuits on all 3 of them to shut them down. And the newsletter that Zach Scribner sent out, I'm just going to paraphrase it rather than look it up. For the last raid that took place this last week, said that they were here under the direction of Supervisor Scribner's office to take action to shut them down. And the fact that Kern County Council has spent millions of dollars to shut down the dispensaries, and the fact that they have taken a very active role in trying to do everything legally available to them to do this, and also the fact that this board here represents as an arm of the Board of Supervisors. And so, you know, but at the same time, if this board were to decide today to make a motion and a second and vote in favor of accepting the marijuana dispensaries, then that would be the board decision. But this board has not made that decision. This board has been very forceful in its opposition to it. And tonight we have a letter from Zach Scribner that we wrote to Zach Scribner. We went to, actually wrote to Congressman McCarthy. Zach Scribner changed it around, kept the wording the same, but put his name in there instead of Congressman McCarthy, because he wants the letter to go to him, and then he wants to turn around and have a letter go from his office, which I think is a more powerful statement to the Congressman's office. And the fact that when Congressman McCarthy, during his community forum, he was told about the marijuana dispensaries in his community. And out of his mouth, he said, I have been hearing a lot of things about these marijuana dispensaries, and I will be bringing this up to the Attorney General Jeff Sessions. And obviously, he's a man of his word, because Josh reported that the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, is one of the driving factors in this task force of getting these places shut down. So we have moving forward, but because of the timeline of the EIR and getting comments in, I feel it's very important that we take a vote to approve this letter to Congressman McCarthy through Zach Scribner's office and get it signed. That way it can be in the process and in the loop. That way it's our voice is heard when the Planning Commission makes their decision and then makes their recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. So that's why tonight I wanted to keep this one item as an action item, because waiting until next month it would not be good, it would be too late. So with that, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the letter that we reviewed at last month's meeting, and also any other discussion from the board members on this item.
I'll make a motion to accept it as written, as what we did last year. Month, one of those days.
I think it would have been more appropriate if you read this letter after we made this motion, right after this work was done.
Josh, do you have a copy of that letter?
I was here last time, but there's very few people here to actually give you any kind of vote. There's a lot of people here that would probably say yes or no, I don't know.
Mr. Joyce, maybe you could publish it in the paper?
Well, the fact is that there, a lot of people have left, you're right.
Yeah.
But we've got two fine representatives from the news media that can report it to the public at large. And so any vote that this board takes, we've done it all in public. We've read the letter in public. In fact, we read the letter that we sent to Congressman McCarthy. Then we read the letter that came back from the supervisor's office. We've made it very public on where this board stands. And it's been reported in the newspapers, and it'll be reported as well. I mean, John Joyce, he's video recording it. Allison here, she's writing it down for her paper. So the public will know about it, whether they're here tonight or not. But I know for a fact that this room has been packed full of people going back to 2014. And the people have been in opposition to these marijuana dispensaries. Yes, there are people that are in favor of it, people that don't want to see them closed. And that's fine, that's their opinion. But, you know, as a board, we represent the majority of this community, not just a few voices over here or a few voices over here. If I had these rooms full of people telling us, oh, we want them, this is what we want, those letters would have never been sent out in the first place. But the community has made it very clear in their voices that I've been listening to for several years now. They don't want the dispensaries here. It's not, they don't want them in our community.
Well, now there's a motion, is there a second?
Yes.
Who seconded?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Donna Morris, seconded by Director Gerald Morris. At this time, I will open it up to discussion from the board.
I probably shouldn't vote because I'm not familiar with the letter. I'd be happy to look at it from a grammar perspective, by the way. As a proofreader, just saying. Right, Gerald?
Just put your abstaining.
Yeah, how we, yeah, no, because I can make sure it's grammatically stylized correct.
Josh, you got a copy of that?
I do not have a copy of the letter on me.
Okay.
We have to have it in order to take the vote.
Okay.
You abstain.
We have enough to take the vote.
Let me see, I might be able to pull it up on my email.
See if you can pull it up. I'm gonna try to pull it up on mine. Marijuana dispensaries in Rosamond and Kern County. Supervisor Scribner, we, the Board of Directors of the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, and on behalf of the businesses, organizations, and the community of Rosamond, are sending you this letter regarding the explosive and unchecked growth of medical marijuana dispensaries in Rosamond, California. Currently, we have at least 14 marijuana dispensaries in Rosamond, with 10 of them south of Rosamond Boulevard between Sierra Highway to the east and Diamond Street to the west. This is right in the heart of our downtown and business district. The existence of these marijuana dispensaries is having a very severe impact on crime levels, negative impacts on other Rosamond businesses, a negative impact on property values, driving local businesses out of business or forcing their relocation and degrading the quality of life for the residents of Rosamond. Supervisor Scribners, as you are aware, California legalized medical marijuana in 1996 when California voters passed Proposition 215 by 55.58% to 44.42%. But in that same election, voters in Kern County rejected Prop 215 by a margin of 59% to 41%. And even though voters approved Proposition 215 statewide, it was not by a landslide decision. But the Kern County results show that the voters, by a huge margin, clearly voted against this measure. Since the passage of Prop 215, Rosamond has seen an explosion of dispensaries open in our small town. On November 8th, 2016, the voters in California voted in favor of Prop 64, legalizing the recreational use of marijuana, with the recreational sales of marijuana scheduled to take effect on January 1st, 2018. This proposition was passed by the voters of California by a margin of 56.4% to 43.6%, similar to the numbers from 1996. Yet again, Kern County voters rejected Prop 64 by a margin of 53.7 to 46.3. Supervisor Scribner, marijuana use and possession has always been and still is a violation of federal law. And due to recent statements and policy memos from Attorney General Jeff Sessions, it is obvious the federal government has no intentions of backing down from this stance or easing federal laws regarding marijuana use and or possession. On January 1st, 2018, when it becomes legal to open retail sales of marijuana in the state of California, that the number of dispensaries will easily double or triple in Rosamond. And because Rosamond is the gateway to Edwards Air Force Base, and the presence and accessibility of illegal drugs in Rosamond, that Edwards Air Force Base could close the western gate to force base personnel to bypass Rosamond altogether. Even though this is a remote possibility, it could become a reality, and if that were to happen, it would destroy Rosamond economically. Supervisor Scribner, there is a way out of this dilemma. Proposition 64 has a provision in it that reads, cities and counties could also completely ban marijuana-related businesses. This decision must be made prior to January 1st, 2018. We know and understand that the Kern County Board of Supervisors and Kern County Council have been working very hard to address this issue, but have faced and continue to face numerous obstacles in solving this problem. And law enforcement is doing all they can, but we are just being overrun with this problem. Supervisor Scribner, we the board members of the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council, and on behalf of the businesses, organizations, and residents of Rosamond, plead for you to speak with Congressman Kevin McCarthy and open a dialogue to use his position of House Majority Leader and powerful voice and influence to help us rid our community of marijuana dispensaries that are slowly destroying our town, driving out business, driving up crime, driving down property values, and degrading the quality of life for our families and children. Sincerely, Gregory Wood, Chair, Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council. That is the letter that we're voting on this evening. And now that you've heard it, Dennis?
Yeah, much of that is similar to the letter that I signed out when I was chairman.
Yes. So, we have a motion, and we have a second. Is there any further discussion on it?
Question.
Yes.
No, let's call the question.
All right, all in favor of approving the letter?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously about our meetings and the advertisement and stuff, and I appreciate it. But I would like to ask the board to remember that we all speak with one voice. We have a board chairman and a board vice chairman, and to please refrain from putting anything out publicly until the agenda has been posted, because things can change and we can look foolish if something is out in the community and the community shows up expecting something to happen, and because the word went out before the agenda did, then we got explaining to do, and you know, we don't want that. We want to have clarity in the community. Also, before you put anything out, I would ask that that if you want to put a flyer out or some kind of a news release or something like that, to email it to me first, so I can look it over, make sure all the information on there is correct and accurate, and if I'm not available or I'm out of town, then you would send it to Bill, And if neither one of us are around, then you send it to our supervisor's office and let them look it over and approve it, you know, before we put it out there. And that goes, if I've got something that I wanna put out, I don't just put it out by myself either. I'm gonna send it to Josh and have him run it by Zach and, or John in his office to make sure it's okay. Cause, we want to make sure that we're always putting out correct and accurate and up-to-date information. So that way the public knows what's going on and we don't want confusion in the public. But I would ask to please hold back on any kind of social media posts until after the agenda is posted, because once the agenda is posted, then it's set in stone. That's what's gonna happen at the meeting. And that's the same thing that we send out to the newspaper and everybody on the mailing list. Okay, with that, I will get off that horse there and move on to item 15, adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we had a motion by two directors on my right for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.